So today we're doing an overview of Google Classroom, how to join and create a class, the 3 different sections, stream, classwork, people, how to organize your resources into topics, so if you have assignments or materials or questions, and then also assigning work, and a little look at how to grade, comment, and the comment bank. So to start with, if you're on your Google home screen, kind of looks like this. You'd go up to the Google Apps icon, or you can call it the waffle, the grid, the 9 blocks, whatever. You look for your classroom application. If you can't find it, you might need to scroll down. And a reminder, you can drag and drop your apps wherever you want them so that they're closer at hand. When I click this, it'll load within my screen and it'll open up to a new window. If you are the teacher, you will see students. If you're not the teacher, you'll see a picture of your teacher. So these are my 2 classes that I'm enrolled in, one, and teacher of. If I want to join or create a classroom, I click the plus sign, and it'll give me 2 options to either join a class, which is what your students would often do, where they would type in a class code, or create a class. So for this one, we're going to type practice class. You can fill in your section, your subject, your room number. You can get into all the specifics just to help yourself out. And I'm going to click create. Now this does take a while to load sometimes, just because it's creating all the facets of your classroom. So while we wait, I can let this window load, and I can kind of walk you through as a teacher what you see, and as a student what you see. So once it loads, you're going to see my practice class is loaded, and here it takes you to your practice classroom. Now it's set up a little bit like Facebook, if you know your upload photo and theme section. If you're wanting to display your class code, you would click on the settings icon and class code and click display so that it projects on your screen. And this is the code you would project, and students would click the plus sign, click join class, and this is the code they would type. If I don't want to do that, I can look at my 3 main topics. Stream, this is where all your updates will come in and be right at the top, newest at the top. Classwork, this is where you as a teacher can organize your topics, assignments, materials, move them around, anything you want to do with the modules. And people is where you'll see any teachers who you've made in charge of this classroom and all your students once they've joined. So if I want to invite a student rather than display a code, just invite my other account. What's going to happen is it'll give you their image kind of in gray. And then when they're in their classroom, if they refresh, so this is where I would see all my classrooms in the other account. So this is a different account. They get the option of either joining or declining. And if they click join, they then get the student perspective of your teacher classroom. So we'll be flipping between those so you can see both sides. So we're going to create an assignment, and you can also do exit or entrance tickets for questions or specific materials, so it doesn't even have to be an assignment that would be graded. It would just be a resource. You can reuse an old post, so this is really handy if you have a similar assignment from something else and you just want to change one quick file, but all the other settings are the same. Or you can just go ahead and organize your topics. So if you know how many units you're going to have or subjects you're going to cover, you can have all your topics already laid out so that it's prepped, but then your students don't see those unless you've added materials to it. So it's kind of interesting. We're going to make an assignment for this one, and you could click on 4 of the different classes. So you could assign it to multiple classes or just one. You can also assign it to specific students or just all general students. So this one is just going to be practice. I'm not going to put any instructions that are special. I'm going to make it ungraded rather than graded, and I can also play with my due dates. I could put it within the week or change it to be due in several weeks. And I'm also going to create a topic. So right here, instead of creating it in my create section, if I forget, I'm like, oh, I need this topic, this is the place to do it. Now you get options on attachments down here. You could add a link for anything. You could add a YouTube video, anything from your drive, and also just any file you have. So I'm going to actually add something from my drive. I'm going to add a copy of something just so we can play with it. Go down here, not my template. I don't want the template, I want the actual copy. Click add, and you actually get a few options. You can leave this file so that students only view it, and they just use it as a resource. They can always file make a copy of it, so they go to the file, make a copy option. You could make it so students can edit it. So I find this helpful if I'm having students maybe give me a link to their assignment, and I just want everyone's links in one place, in one doc, so I only have that doc open. Or if I'm having students collaborate as a class on something, maybe I have each of them in charge of a certain box or a certain part of a document or a slide, something like that. And then I want to be able to share that entire thing just as a view file. Or I could make a copy for each student. So I find this super helpful if this is just a template, and then it makes them a copy and all the stuff is already started and they just fill in from there. It's also really helpful if you do this, it automatically puts the student's name in the title. So their first and last name become part of the title of the document. So it's much easier to find for you because we're human and we forget. So once we've done that, we can assign it. We also have options to schedule it. So if you want to prep it for another specific day and do maybe all your planning on Sunday, so it preps, fine. If you're that organized, great on you. Or you could just save it as a draft if you already have an idea. So I'm going to click assign. It's going to take a little moment. And then what will happen is it will change you out of your little boxed screen. And what students will see is in their classwork, if they let it refresh, it's going to post. In your classwork, you'll also see it. So you'll see it changed. In my classwork, I see it. And in my stream, it's right there on top. Now, in my classwork, if my student has gone in and maybe updated, so this student has come in, maybe they filled in their name, and this is their specific assignment. It's put their name at the top. So maybe they want to type their name, they put the date, okay? And then you know what? They can automatically turn this in. If they've made a copy and they want to turn in a separate assignment, what they would do is they click this, they click add, and they could add it from their drive or a link or a file. Or within the assignment, they can create something to add to it to turn it. Now, since I made them a copy of this, they can just click turn in either in the copy that I made for them or from the assignment. So just so we can see on the teacher's end when a student turns it in, it actually takes them to a separate tab. They're asked to verify they want to turn this in. They can always unsubmit an assignment. So they would click unsubmit, fix something really quick, and make sure to resubmit. So on the teacher end, what this looks like, let's flip back over here. In the classwork folder, you might want to refresh just to make sure, because sometimes it takes a while, internet. You click on the assignment. This is where you can see who's turned it in and who hasn't. Once you click on that, it'll actually give you detailed who's turned it in, and it'll give you a different section of who hasn't. So if I click on the turned in assignment, this is where it breaks into a separate grading window. Now, if I wanted to look at the assignment just separately, not with this little comment bank and comment area on the side, I can just click the assignment and it will open it in a little separate window. Or tab, excuse me. And then I can just look at just purely the assignment. But they've streamlined this, and I want to leave some comments and suggestions. Now, when it's in this grading mode, it's automatically just in suggestion mode. So anything I do is merely added as a suggestion, and students have to check that they take that suggestion or they exit, and it rejects the suggestion. So it kind of puts that back in the student's hands and in control of their assignment. Sometimes I like to put pretend little things so that my students aren't just going check, but then there's like a glaring error when they just checked everything because I put a little trick in there to make it interesting. You can also leave specific comments and post them in a private comment. Also, you can set yourself up with some comment banks. So if there's a specific format that something that they need to focus on, or something that I can see that they've done awesome sauce on, is what I like to say, or awesome job on, then I can go ahead and leave this format. I can click add. And what this does is I click on it and it will allow me to copy to my clipboard. I hop back over here, paste it, and then I can quickly input whatever I wanted to say that they were doing really good on, what they need to focus on. And it gives you just a quick template. So if you have longer things you want to fill in, this is the place to do it. The one thing with this, every time you click enter, so if I say example and I click add, sometimes it doesn't always do this. So let's just say another example. See, you gotta play with it, find your flow. It adds 2 separate comments when I press enter. Play with it, find your format, how you want to use Comment Bank for you. Now, again, this was just an overview of how to join and create a class, what Stream and Classwork and People does, the topics, signing work, and then just an overview of Grade Comment Bank. Hope that helped. Keep playing with Google and enjoy.